And what I'm hoping to teach you is that that as a parent, that you have certain expectations and guidelines that that you have for your child to help your child become independent of you and self-sufficient, especially as a teenager. Because here's my mind when I'm thinking about someone, if the child is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever age, I'm thinking at some point, I always ask the child, how old are you? When I'm talking with them, how old are you? Oh, I'm 13. Oh, you've got 5 years until you're 18 and you're gonna move out of mom and dad's house, right? So there's that process of the time the clock is ticking, and especially the clock is ticking for your child to learn these skills, right? To be independent and self-sufficient from you, self-sufficient and independent of you. And so as a parent, you've got to set certain things up where they become self-sufficient and independent. And one of those things would be is to kind of take a step back. Obviously, you expect them to get up on time, but don't assume that responsibility of getting them up and forcing them into doing all that, because then it becomes behaviorally reinforced that you'll just keep doing this and you'll keep doing it. And they learn that, hey, mom and dad's gonna come in and they're going to get me up out of bed at some point. They're not going to let me be late. The struggle I have with that is that your child really never learns that skill to get up out of bed on his or her own because you're forcing them to do that. And so you kind of get in this vicious cycle. So what you have to do as a parent is expect them to get up at a certain time and then take a step back. When you take that step back as a parent, you're working on your own skills. You're working on your own skills when they are maybe getting up out of bed, but they're maybe not getting up out of bed, and you're getting frustrated and you're getting anxious and you're doing all those things, right? Well, you've got to be able to calm yourself. You've got to be able to work on yourself in that situation rather than going up and saying, get out of bed, get out of bed. Generally, when a parent is saying that, there's something starting to come up inside of them, some emotions or thoughts that are coming up. Oh my gosh, he can't be late today. He's got to do this, or he's going to miss this, or you feel anxiety starting to come up in your body. And what I want you to do as a parent is I want you to be able to work on that. Whatever's coming up inside of you, I want you to take care of that, okay? Don't go to your child and force them to get out of bed so you stop feeling anxious or you stop having those negative thoughts, all right? Okay, so now you don't go rescue them and get them out of bed, and you just let them, yes, you let them sleep. You let them sleep. And you're like, but Randy, they're gonna be late to school. Yes, I believe in natural consequences. And the natural consequence would be is if they're late for school, then they're going to be tardy, and then they're going to be responsible to the school, however the school deals with that. And you know, sometimes what I would encourage parents to do, especially if their child is late all the time, is maybe just to call the school counselor, or maybe to call the principal or an assistant principal and just say, hey, you know, Joe, I'm trying to work on something with Joe. Lately I've been getting him out of bed, and we've been wrestling, but I know that's not going to help him long term, so I'm not going to do that anymore. So there's a chance that Joe's going to be late to school more often, and if Joe's late to school more often, you guys do whatever you do. And I would encourage you maybe to sit and talk with him and ask him why he's not in school on time. And feel free. You have my support. You have my support. Whatever consequences you need to give Joe for being late to school, you totally have my support in doing that. And so by doing that, you're allowing your child now to be responsible for. You're allowing Joe to be responsible for getting himself up, and also making that choice. If he gets up, great. If he doesn't, then he's responsible for you know, being late himself, right? Make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. And hopefully as a parent, that allows you to feel more comfortable, and that allows you to feel less anxious, okay? Because here's the thing I always tell parents. Like, are you gonna be there for them in college when they're laying in bed and they're like, oh, I don't wanna go to class? Well, you gonna call them every morning and say, okay, are you getting up, Joe, are you getting up and going to class this morning? Well, if you do that, okay, are you going to, you're gonna call them every morning once they've graduated school? Are you gonna call them and say, hey, Joe, you getting up for work this morning? And if they don't, are you gonna go over there and are you going to, get them up out of bed? So at some point, you have to stop doing what you're doing and just allow whatever natural consequences there are to happen. And maybe there isn't a consequence. Maybe what you learn through this is Joe can actually get up out of bed on his own. He doesn't need you to get him up out of bed. That's a lot of times what I find is over time, parents are like, whoa, like my child can do more than I thought he or she could. I just need to take a step back sometimes and let them deal with the rewards and consequences of their choices. Yeah. Hope that helps.
On track, now we gon' way up. W's as easy as a layup.